Hello everybody, John here, and today onto the garage I show you my new mystery car. Well, I've been waiting, as per some other videos, for some decent weather. It's not decent weather. It's absolutely foul, and the rain is pouring down. My blackened bumpers are still looking fabulous. And for you guys, out of the garage and in the rain is Purdy, because I don't think it's going to get nice anytime soon. I mean, this week. So I'm going to put my new mystery car in the garage so I can show you what I've got. This is a Land Rover Freelander 2, which in most markets except the UK would actually be called an LR2. And I guess you'd call it a medium-sized crossover, except being a Land Rover, it's genuinely capable rather than looks the part. Not that others aren't, there are other very capable medium-sized crossovers, but generally when you mention that segment, people are thinking about Qashqais, which never actually go off-road and aren't really intended to go off-road despite being available with four-wheel drive. This is a true Land Rover in that it really can cut the mustard off-road, which is not really why I've got it. So if this is a Freelander 2, what's a Freelander 1? What's that all about? The Freelander 1 was built from 1996 to 2006 and is therefore absolutely aligned to the timeline of our X100s. The Freelander 1 was unique and cutting edge in many ways. Its looks, divided opinion, but it was a huge sales success. So it obviously was a Marmite car, but there were enough people who liked Marmite. It was Land Rover's first unibody or monocoque vehicle. It was their first foray into soft roaders or crossovers, but again, very capable off-road. So soft roader is only applied as a term because it doesn't have a low ratio box, a transfer box like this. This doesn't either. And it had many patents on it for its systems, its styling, won many design awards, and it won many friends. But that vehicle had a few weaknesses. One was it used the Rover K-Series engines, as well as some others, including a BMW diesel. But the predominant sales of that vehicle were in the K-Series, which, as we all know now with the benefit of hindsight, was quite flawed from a point of view of overheating, head gaskets, etc. The electrical gremlins and build quality issues on the Freelander 1 were bad even by Land Rover terms. So it did gain a lot of a rep, if you like, for being a bit of an issue as the car aged. The interior trim quality is generally accepted as being quite poor in it, and some of its most endearing, interesting features also encourage some of the issues. For instance, on a Freelander 1, the tailgate opens sideways, it has a spare wheel mounted on it, The rear window is electric and can retract into the tailgate. All fabulous stuff. But that whole system means the boot almost universally leaks and the spare wheel well fills up with water and so on and so forth. So as second-hand vehicles, they've got a little bit of a rep to them. The Freelander 2 came along and was again a hit, but not as big a hit as Freelander 1 because its looks are rather more traditional for Land Rover, i.e. pretty square, looks rugged, looks butch, but styling is, yeah, evolutionary rather than revolutionary. You get the sense that almost every line on it is designed for function. So, you know, why is it the shape it is? It's for approach angles. Why is the bodywork tucked in at the bottom so that it's narrower than the track and therefore won't collide with anything when you're battling through mud? Why is the roofline kinked here? That's because, like almost every Land Rover product, it has stadium seating, which means they fit the rear seats just a little higher than the front seats to improve the view, and therefore to equalise headroom we have a slightly kinked roofline. It's also a styling cue that says this is a Land Rover product, so, you know, did they really need to do that? Probably not. There's loads of headroom in here. It has very reliable engines. So the main two that you might find in one of these would be either a transversely mounted straight six, that it shares with the Volvo XC60, and what my car has, a 2.2 turbo diesel, which is a joint venture with Peugeot. And this is the same engine that is used in the Jaguar XF, again XC60. It's a well-used and well understood engine that is known for being very reliable. In fact, if you take aside the generalistic diesels of this era issues of EGR valves, gas recirculation systems clogging, which is just nature of the technology, they really don't have any fundamental flaws. Land Rover also concentrated heavily on interior quality to distance themselves from the reputation of the Freelander 1. And actually, that's why this was never called Freelander 2 in anywhere but the UK, because the reputation was already heavily damaged in the States and in mainland Europe. So why have I got this? Well, I won't go into the saga of where we've moved out of because, well, I've covered that in another video, but we wanted a family-sized car. It was only me, Joe and the dog, but what we meant by that is we've got 4 doors, which is important to be able to get the dog in and out, but also we've got family live close by and we like to go on trips, and people being able to get in and out is important to us. And for some of our family, it's nice to have a car that you don't have to drop down into to get into the seats. It's nice if you got that sort of hip level movement in. So that was part of my brief, as a larger 4-door car. We also found ourselves with the various swap arounds without anything which we could go and collect large items from the DIY shop or go to the tip with. So a good size hatchback, estate, SUV, something like that was very much on the cards. I said it had to be interesting. Well, this is interesting to me. I like the Land Rover brand. I've said in previous videos I wouldn't have a Range Rover. That's not because I don't love them. I do. I think they're absolutely fantastic. But the reputation that they have for unreliability is well founded, if a little distorted. That reputation comes out of complexity and the fact that they're cutting edge, and that used models don't always get the love, attention and servicing that those vehicles require. But it is real. It is real. This particular vehicle is pretty universally accepted as being the most reliable of all Land Rover products. So if you like, it's an easy way for me to get into that. And when everybody was guessing what I was going to get, I did say one person got it absolutely on the nail, and that was the handle Alan Milton 8056. Well done, sir. Yes, guessed exactly this, even down to late model with massive service history. You'll pick one of them up at the right price. It was exactly where I was heading, and it was your comment that actually pushed me a little further towards it, because it kind of echoed my own thoughts. And I commented back to Alan, who lives in Australia, by the way, that in my research I was always taken with the fact that these get fabulous reviews from our friends in Australia, and Australia is a car killer of a country because weather, because terrain, because size. So if Australians think a car is reliable and they like it, it's true. It's very fashionable on YouTube videos to say, I bought the cheapest, insert name of car here, in the country. And I must admit, I'm quite entertained to see the shocking state of some of the kit people buy as well. I haven't done that. I wouldn't do it to myself, not in this particular case. In fact, this is probably one of the more expensive Land Rover 2s available in my country. That it doesn't mean I went out to buy an expensive one, it's just the one that I wanted. Why did I get this one? Well, it's a 64 plate, which means it was registered late in 2014. They stopped selling these in January 2015. And it is the run-out model. And that is known as a Metropolis. What is a Metropolis? A Metropolis is the top of the range Freelander, which used to be the HSE, with all the evolutionary changes that have taken place over the years on it for obvious reasons. It has 19-inch alloys instead of the 17-inch that is more common, which means it looks pretty, looks very smart. I don't necessarily think that's a super advantage. I do think it looks best, but 17-inch wheels are far easier to fit, aggressive tyres without spending a fortune, that sort of thing. But I'm not going to argue with these, they look beautiful. Every single option that could be fitted is fitted, but in line with its branding and image as Metropolis, sort of city, all that sort of thing, they deleted the HSE's roof rails and very often fitted side running boards to make it look a little bit more city slicker, smart, wearing a suit, if you like. It has the best headlights, it has the wash systems on it, it has the heated screen, it has true leather. So most cars, even a lot of Jags, you know, there's a lot of vegan leather or limited use of real leather in leather trimmed cars. This one's got real leather. Armrests, heated seats, heated steering wheel. So very plush throughout. Bound edge carpets as standard. 2 sunroofs, the front one being electrically openable, slidable. Both have blinds. You'll note some nicely positioned corner rear speakers. These hint at the fact that this is fitted with an 825 watt hi-fi system with full-on surround sound, subwoofers, and 17 speakers. It has one of the other few downers for me, it being a Metropolis. instead of the wood trim that would normally be in these cars, or aluminium, it has piano black. I'm not a huge fan of piano black, but it looks smart, you know, I'm not complaining. But if there were two of these parked next to each other and one had a nice walnut set, I would have had that. But that doesn't exist in a Metropolis. Full set of steering wheel controls, integrated phone system, the bigger screen. It's got a hard drive based sat nav rather than the CD-ROM, DVD, Blu-ray system of the previous few years. We have Land Rover's 6-speed gearbox with their terrain response system, which operates a Haldex unit underneath the car, enabling it to shift power around on the various wheels and axles as required, depending on the terrain. Meaning that this car, whilst it lacks the very serious off-roaders like the Defender and Wrangler, their massive axle articulation, where they can drop a wheel down and keep it a long way from its natural position and hence maintain drive. You'll have no doubt seen pictures of these in their marketing materials doing its party trick of just carrying on with two wheels off the ground because the Haldex system just decides, well, those two are pointless, let's put all the drive on the other two. So it's got a very effective four-wheel drive system, although no low ratio gearbox. It does drive front wheel drive bias as standard, but is permanent four-wheel drive. Keyless go, self-dimming mirrors, memory seats. It's essentially the full 9 yards as far as LR2s or Freelander 2s go. I've got a tow bar, which is handy. Try not to knock myself out with the tailgate. We have a nice large boot. I'll turn on one of my garage inspection lights because it's a black interior and it's a little bit dark at this end of the garage. But yeah, big boot, and all the seats fold completely flat, so that's rather good for carrying stuff around. Below here, because of the 19-inch wheels, we don't have a spare wheel. We instead have a pump and some special liquid. We also have the subwoofer in there, and spare covers for the rear seats, just in case you want to cover them up in case you're muddy. That can be reversed. It's got a hard wipe clean surface on the opposite side, so that you can keep things nice and clean if you're carrying stuff to the tip. Very clean installation under the bonnet. No doubt helped in terms of the visuals by all the plastics, but pretty spacious in there with the diesel. This is the top of the range SD4 190 horsepower diesel. I know it's a real reviewer's line, but I'll say it because I can't think of anything better to describe it. Pulls like a train, feels like it would climb a wall. It's that sort of engine. It's reasonably zippy. You're never going to feel you're in a go-kart. I've driven many RAV4s which feel a lot livelier. Truth is, they're a lot lighter anyway. But yeah, this thing is all about torque, and it has it in abundance. It has reasonably high miles. It's actually fine for the year of the car, but 91,000 miles. It is possible but difficult to find Freelanders with lower miles, and certainly I couldn't find a good Metropolis with lower miles than that. That doesn't particularly worry me because the nature of the vehicle means, this will probably do 300,000. There's not really any issue there. The only reason that I squirm at the 100,000 mile barrier is it does affect resale values, because everybody else gets a bit scared about that sort of thing. So yeah, that's not ideal, but one compromise I had to make to get this particular vehicle. It's keyless start, so you just put your foot on the brake and press the button. You're left in no doubt it's a diesel, but as soon as it's pulling, it's very quiet, very smooth, very powerful. This generation of Jaguar Land Rovers touchscreen systems is not known for being very responsive, but this does have the hard drive rather than the CD or DVD, Blu-ray, whatever it is, disc-based database. So it is significantly better than some previous XFs I've driven. Love the fact they've put a analog clock in, carrying on a nice tradition with Jaguar Land Rovers. All the normal features, not going to go through all the buttons today, that's not what today's about. But in terms of what the vehicle is, hill descent in here. So again, genuinely a Land Rover. Automatic box where you can shift over into a manual. And then the terrain response allows you to select standard road driving, which is four-wheel drive with a front-wheel drive bias. You click over, and this is snow and grass, and assumes very, very slippery conditions, uses massive amounts of what we call traction control, thumbs down the throttle, and mud and ruts requires the system to shift the power around the wheels frequently and aggressively to jolt it and jar it forward. So that's a very active setting. But if you drove on the road like that, you would feel the transmission shunting around quite a lot. And the last one is sand, and sand essentially engages four-wheel drive in the truest sense of the word and delivers maximum power and really doesn't limit wheel spin, because you just want to be throwing stuff out the back to get as much forward momentum as possible in sand. But yeah, there's a lot more finesse involved than that. I'm just not wired appropriately to share with you exactly how this system works. Electric parking brake, cup holder there, sliding top to another cubby where we've got a 12 volt outlet, another 12 volt outlet here, a USB input, an aux input, two more cup holders, including one that's suitable for energy drinks or small cans or Tropicana juice, which is rather nice. And there's a little catch at the back, which if you pull it, enables you to lift that out and instead just have a large cubby, which I really like. I wish my Jaguar had such sensible cup holders. The car also has Jaguar's speak to command system installed, and I'm going to have to teach it my special Lincolnshire Brummie accent, because like all of these, as standard, it does a lot of errors, but you can read a particular script and get it tuned in, and I've managed that in the past, so I'm hoping that's going to work on this too. Radio.
Radio.
Play.
Radio play.
Radio off.
Radio off.
Oh, not too bad, straight out of the can. So we'll do some more experimenting with that. And it's a random thing, and I know it's the same on most Land Rover Range Rovers, but I do love these two chrome bars that are your horn. I think that's superb. So yeah, I'll give you a detailed run through on the controls on this when I'm more familiar with them myself. and I'll definitely take you on a few trips and explain how she runs, how she drives, fuel economy, my real life experience. We'll be hiding nothing. As you know, I don't do that. To the extent that I'm sitting here in my garage now, looking out here, waiting for a delivery. Because despite this being a not inexpensive car, I'm waiting for a battery to be delivered. It starts, it runs, it's fine. But I've tested it with a battery tester and it's well past its sell-by date. So I'm swapping it out for my normal favourite of a Yuasa. And we're also going for the larger size. There are two batteries that you can fit to this. I think it's a 96 or a 110. I might have the numbers wrong there. And the 110s were pretty much reserved for like Norwegian deliveries, stuff like that, wherever you're going to have a lot of really cold starts. So I'm fitting the larger one because the battery tray is big enough. So I'm waiting for that right now. So I'll share everything that goes on with this as we learn all about the Freelander 2 together. Hope you like my choice. I'd be really interested in your comments, good, bad or indifferent. Love to see them below. Thanks to everybody who joined in with a guessing. And yeah, sorry I've given you the reveal in my garage, but foul day yet again. And hopefully it will turn a corner real soon. Stay safe, everybody. Bye. If you're enjoying our channel, then don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell icon so you get notifications of new videos. And please give us a thumbs up or thumbs down, and you can share the videos. And below the video is always the area where you can comment and get involved with the chat.